I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996, I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We've opened Skull and Bone, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I have duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What the fuck is up? Sorry guys, once again, the Rumble is out. Yeah, we had to kind of make executive decision. We were trying to figure it out. It was saying that the stream was messed up. It's saying something like I made it more than 24 hours ago or some dumb bullshit. I didn't. Everything looked like it was ready to go on the Rumble side of things, and then we were like, fuck it, we're going live, and then didn't run. So I don't know. It is what it is. I'm sorry, guys. We did figure out, I believe, how to link up the fucking chat. So next week, hopefully, we'll have our Rumble figured out. And then you guys will have no reason at all to be hanging out on YouTube unless you're being real G's and supporting Austin and watching on his channel. So we can build up his channel. But yeah, welcome to your favorite conspiracy call-in variety show. Already Dead. We have, obviously, me, Jose Galison. We have our co-host, Austin Picard. And we're ready to get into it. Sorry, like I said, I'm a little flustered. Rumble's been fucking, I don't know. I don't like tech stuff. It is what it is, though. We'll figure it out next time. I'll post this up probably tomorrow with the hurricane coming up. I don't even have work or anything right now. So,
wow.
Yeah. But, yeah, by the way, there's a hurricane coming to hit like central Florida area, sort of. So, I should be fine, though. No big deal. But might lose some power, but that's about the sum of it. How you doing, bud?
Man, all is well, brother. Just... another wave of the news cycle, of course, right? In hysteria over what Diddy fallout, Israel bombing the hell out of Lebanon, I mean. And then, of course, what I thought was at least kind of like perfectly in the vein of what we always discuss, which was Ryan Routh and his son effectively being detained by the authorities and arrested for charges of harboring and possessing child pornography. So I feel like we've seen that connection
before. Yeah, the obvious connection. I did want to bring up while I'm still thinking of it, because you obviously just brought that up. I just recently on I don't know if it's a suggestion, I saw a tweet from Tim Tuttle's, the homie at Jolly on Klebold. He posted an interview of one of the brothers of the shooter, because I guess he has multiple brothers. I believe there were technically two that did give statements to the media, and it was this one. I don't know if you watch it. It's the one that got charged with child porn. And this was after the charge. They didn't address that at all, and he was very just odd and was very, very, very against speculation. Have you seen that interview or no?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
That's very weird.
It was a two-parter. I had to listen to two podcasts to get all of it. But it was it was something. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. That one really because someone had posted something and they I think it was Tim. He posted something and it was like a little excerpt of like what the mom said. The guy said their mom did, which was like somebody who had like a ton of stock and some like weird engineering, like real like spook tech stuff almost. It sounds like, and she was like stacked supposedly, and there was a lot of like it seemed like there was a lot of implications within that podcast of a lot of implications that the mother helped out. By the way, Jules, just so you know, I have this set up so that you're the voice of God right now. So I
forgot that it pulls me up. When I
that's why I saw you.
I was sitting
like,
there for a second until I saw myself. I didn't even.
I gotta figure it out. When you bring up any media, it like completely kicks out that thing, and then I gotta go right back to the old one. So
that's fine. You
sorry, yeah, but here we go. The brother charged with child porn. The person that owned the apartment Paddock lived in is who brought up charges on him and dropped it when it came out and was connected to the prosecutor. The brother charges the person that owned the Paddock. This motherfucker in that interview made it sound like he hadn't anything to do with his brother in like decades, and like except for and heard only tell of him through other people. So I don't know, maybe I missed something in translation there, but yeah, that's wild.
No, they put a lid on any alternative narrative so quickly in regard to Vegas. It's extraordinary, honestly, and to this day, I still am discovering new things like that Vegas map. Now, I didn't realize that there were witness accounts, like just very detailed witness accounts of. I already knew of witnesses describing the helicopters in the area that night, but the helicopter exfiltration that was potentially performed on the roof of the Tropicana, that was very much, it fit perfectly within my theory of the alternative narrative. You know what I mean? But to see in detail the various witness accounts, you know, perfectly seeing shots being fired on the roof of the Tropicana, right? Like, and an exfiltration taking place. It's just kind of, to me, it kind of just blew me away because it was just further evidence of what I had already suspected. But then Tim's always sending me amazing stuff, man. He just sent me an edit he's working on for the Edit War.
Oh, he sent me that too. Yeah.
Did he? Awesome, dude. It's awesome. But I just think that I really owe him a little bit because of the James Holmes episode. He sent me that Adam Lance's connection as far as his father being involved in LIBOR and all of this. But yeah,
real quick. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but someone brought up in the chat, and I don't know if maybe you said it and I missed it, but also on top of all of that, Paddock himself, the shooter, supposedly had child porn. Because so it's like the brother of Paddock, and then so it's like, I don't know if they're obviously Paddock's the last name. So I said I distinguished the two because they're both probably Paddock, I would assume. But the shooter Paddock and then the brother Paddock. Supposedly both had child porn. I'm not sure what came of the brother's trial, but it is weird that they both
someone intervened.
There you go. Like,
very much so on his behalf, because
it seems you got the message.
exactly. Yeah. And so yes, one of Stephen Paddock's three brothers, Bruce, he's the one who happened to be arrested in North Hollywood in the very same month.
That's right, Bruce. I remember that now because they made a deal. He made a big deal about how his dad, I guess, was using his name for a while, and he was saying like, "Oh, it's because it's a good name," or I don't know, something weird. He's a very odd character. I don't know how to, but sorry, go on.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy. I think the timing of it all, especially considering the parallels to Routh and his son, right? So I think it's interesting to say the least, as far as Paddock was dead on arrival, basically. At least it seems that way. But there's also this interesting kind of overlay with this video of witnesses at the actual concert at the festival who are hiding in this inflatable bar area, and you see the timestamps and you can compare them, and you can hear 3 shots ring out from Stephen Paddock's, basically from the direction of, where the shooting had been coming from, and this perfectly corresponds with when the first officers entered his room. And so we already know that, of course, there was the one stray bullet allegedly, but I still think that there's more that clearly happened. You know what I'm saying? When the authorities entered the room, of course, there was a stand down order to begin with, although a mass shooting was taking place, which is very extraordinary in itself. But yeah, so the same, as far as I'm concerned, Ryan Routh and his son, what is it, Oren or whatever his son's name is?
I can't recall. I don't. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, but
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm is almost identical to what occurred with Bruce, right? Being charged with alarms didn't go off until they breached the room, if I remember.
Oh yeah, and they made a
Odd.
weird point about. I remember the brother brought up something weird. Made some weird sideways comment about the alarms about going off late or something in the podcast. So I don't know if I mean. I would recommend people. You don't know offhand what the name? I'll have to look it up here in a second to let people know where to find that one out, because it is interesting. It was in a weird podcast. I think it was like someone associated with some like Fox channel or some bullshit. So it's a good one, and I think it's worth checking out. But it just seems to be in a weird place, hard to find. So it may not be something you can easily Google. But sorry, go on.
No, you're good. Yeah. But yeah, Ryan Routh's son, hundreds of right, and charged with possessing hundreds of images of child pornography. I think that when you see that in late October 2017, Bruce Paddock is also charged with possessing over 600 child pornographic images, then you have the charges being dropped subsequently in May of 2018 after a judge, of course, seemingly intervenes on Bruce Paddock's behalf and denies the prosecutor's request to postpone the case because a witness was unavailable. Now, there's a spokesman for the LA County District Attorney's Office, and his name's Paul Akins, and he claimed that this left the prosecutors unable to move forward with their case against Bruce Paddock. And so I think when you have that, and you put it into context with the story perfectly aligning with this insanely disturbing theory of links to Stephen Paddock's Silkway Airlines with a potential human trafficking operation, right? Based out of the Philippines. This is what I very much suspect was the case, because I don't know if I made the point on Already Dead, but I made the point before that, if you're a criminal asset, right? You're an intelligence asset. You're operating in the criminal underworld. They're going to utilize you for, layered operations. Many different things, in my opinion, would be right. It just seems like it would be perfectly within the realm of possibility and exactly how they would operate in the field. I don't see another way around that for the most part, especially when you have intelligence operatives themselves, right? Like basically admitting as much. So I kind of think that once you figure all of this, you find all these different pieces and you start to put them together, the theory basically posits that he stops working in the 1980s after leaving deep state defense contractor Theokal, right? So we already know Lockheed and Martin connections. So we have to, of course, ask the question where he made all this money, all the millions that he had, which, of course, people have claimed he made money in property and certain things, but also they said he was hemorrhaging money leading up to the event, which is part of what played into the psychological.
It seemed like it was implied that the in that, once again referring to that interview, that a lot of that money was somehow coming from the mother. And it almost seemed like he was just trying to burn it, and they were implying taxes, something or other.
That's so crazy.
So it was like, it's almost as if they're making it sound like this is off the books money. Man. So it's just kind of like, just burn it. Who cares? Right. That kind of mentality of like, it's that, or we spend that, or we have to process it, and now we're dealing with dirty money that we're having to probably spend. End up reporting to the fucking IRS for, I don't know what, 20-30% or some shit. So it's like, fuck that. I'll just blow it on hookers and blow and then fucking and gamble, kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a plausible narrative, but it seems to me much more like a plausible and convenient script that was potentially handed out to the individuals involved to lay out the official narrative.
Given the mother's background, it also sounds like that's just another way of saying cut out.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You know, like,
But it's also a way of kind of misdirecting the public, I think, and that's the only issue I have. But I think that
real quick, sorry, just
yeah.
to butt in, I looked it up real quick on my phone. It's actually still open on my Spotify. It's The Hidden Truth with Jim Breslow, Breslo. That is the name of the podcast. And then just like you'll have to, it's like from like 2018 or 2019 or some bullshit. So like you'll have to probably search Shooter's Brother because that's in the title. So just there you go. But yeah. There you go. Doctor gambling. Oops, sorry. Gambling is how you launder money. My old lady works a slot deli, and drug dealers launder their money through gambling winnings all the time. Yep.
Yeah. No. He was addicted to video poker, sir. Yep. Fall in line with the narrative, man. No, I just think that once you also discover that he's wiring. First of all, he's wiring $100,000 to Marilu Danley in the Philippines, telling her to buy a house basically before all this happens. And yeah, I just think that you have all of this, his defense contracting, connections with his pilot's license, and then the last thing we should consider, I think, and then we can of course move on and pivot to other things, but is that his main company since 2004 is called Paradise Ranch. Now, I also found something recently that I thought was crazy because he allegedly met Marilu Danley, according to Eric Paddock, one of his brothers, right? Who he describes Marilu as allegedly a high-limit hostess for Club Paradise at the Atlantis Casino Resort in Reno. And that's where they originally met, according to him. But I think that it's a little bit more complicated, very much so. And so, yes, Paradise Ranch is also just so happened to be, of course, his main company, but it has a joint venture with the Philippines Children's Fund of America, which was a charity that provides a transitional home for American children that they flew from the Philippines. And so this is also as far as their
the Philippines, you say?
Yeah.
Terry Nichols would like a word.
Right, exactly. And there happens to be a Paradise Ranch in the Philippines, his partner's home country, of course, where she was allegedly during the event, which, by the way, keep in mind, he rents the rooms under Marilu's identification, which is very strange.
I think there's big glowy operations in the Philippines too. So like,
absolutely.
I can't remember. I remember some autistic, person before ran me through this and kind of was theorizing why Terry Nichols was hanging out in the Philippines and how that's significant in the area they were, and just generally being in the Philippines. And it is kind of like, it seems like almost Spook City Wild West is what kind of like what the Philippines is and has been historically for at least a while, at least for this, like, it seems like in this, I don't know, maybe like 70s to modern day era type, realm. And maybe that's a leftover from the Opium Wars. I'm not as familiar with that stuff. So like, I would just presume that's kind of where they got their foothold in is at that time, if I had to guess. But point being is that they've had a stronghold set up there for a while. And it is, is weird how common things that glow tend to gravitate towards the Philippines, or originate from the Philippines in one way, shape, or form. So,
exactly, I think the same almost applies to the Netherlands, and any of these countries that have largely kind of been implicated in one. They have like very young age of consent laws, very very lax, child pornography laws as far as actually like pursuing any charges of any kind. Like there are all these different qualifications that essentially allow it, right? And like below a significant age limit. It's astonishing, honestly, and very disturbing. Like there's no reason to even, if you have a family, why you should never go to the Netherlands. That's all I'm saying, right? Like it's this very strange place. And it kind of strikes me at a little like Switzerland, because you just see these countries that are clearly just kind of like safe havens for the elites to launder and funnel things through, and like and I've just witnessed it so many times with pay mistresses and like flying money to Switzerland for to actually put it into these foreign accounts and launder it. Essentially is how they interact in this sort of criminal system, and but anyway, I think that it's it's at least worth mentioning that he had this Paradise Ranch that was also in the Philippines, and just so happened to be right next to this Air Force base
What
in
was
Clark
the real
Freeport
quick? What
Zone.
was the official? What did the Paradise Ranch officially purport to be? Do you recall?
Yeah, it's a charity, and
Charity.
yeah,
That's just seems like such an overt name. Paradise Ranch just sounds like a brothel. Is what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
That
no.
sounds like what you would fucking call a brothel.
No doubt, no
Yeah,
doubt in my
like,
mind, man.
literally that would be like in the short list of like 20 things. If I was just spitballing ideas for a name of a brothel, it would be Paradise Ranch. So you said that, and I immediately thought it was like a brothel. For some reason, it reminded me. Was it the Bunny Ranch? Isn't there like a
Right.
famous one in like the Vegas area?
Yeah.
That's like where it's like legal, because that's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Is because it's like some people are like, it's like they go there because that's where you can do it for legally or whatever. I think it's technically not in Vegas. It's like nearby. There's a certain area or some shit where it is. I forget. I want to say it's like Bunny Ranch or something. But I think ranch, and I think especially a term like paradise, very much indicates that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just reaching here. Yeah, it totally sounds like a charity to me. Yeah.
Dude, they seem to kind of rub it in our faces to a large extent at this point, right? And
Yeah.
it's very much like they're mocking us in plain sight, and I honestly think it's because we're such a I think that we're not as much of a minority as we once were, but I'm just saying, like, these are very much taboo subjects, right? So to even imagine beginning to probe and dig further for this layered, detailed approach of researching and investigating these topics, it's they basically demonize that approach in the court of public opinion, right? To where it's almost like the Trevor Moore effect, right? Which I'm discovering recently. I didn't even realize how much that he was actually
base he
exposing,
was.
dude. Yeah, dude. I had absolutely no idea what he was actually up to until just recently.
Yeah, he was probably like a good 10 years out of his time.
Yeah.
So,
It seems that way.
Yeah.
And man, I just also saw that insane video of him on Rogan, and they basically predict the way he will die, which is even more insane, I thought. But yeah, I start to wonder just how much of this is really contrived and manipulated from this the hidden hand we discuss every episode. It's right. It's almost impossible to not ask the question that I'm starting to kind of like be led down this different path of, wow, okay, so there's another approach to the level of details available to a lot of these subjects and investigating any of these things. But then there's another layer, right? That you aren't even aware of how to begin and even what questions to ask until you're almost oversaturated in this environment and you have enough details that you can kind of lay out this comprehensive outline as far as to even, like I said, to even begin to understand what questions we should be asking, and that's where I think all these mainstream narratives, it's so often never actually the case once you just probe for a moment. You take just a small portion out of your day, you probe below the surface, and you discover, right?
Yeah, I think that makes a good segue. It's something I don't think we'll spend a lot of time on this, but I found it pretty interesting. And it reminds me a lot of Obama. And like, if you dig into Obama's background, it looks like he was a created person. Apparently, there's some new stuff that's come out with Kamala. You know, lately the talking points have been like, is she black? Is she Indian? What is she? And apparently, and I actually got this from Candace Owens' podcast, and she's been going on about it, but other people have as well. If you dig into her past, apparently in 2019 she put out a book that kind of like went into like her life story, blah blah blah. I thought you were about to grab the book or something.
No, that would be hilarious.
Oh, here you go. Yeah. Because that's right when your hand went off screen. But anyways, in that, it kind of goes into her background. And I guess there's like a picture. There's very few stuff. There's very scant stuff that shows her background. But there's a picture with, Daniel called it here, with her grandma. And I think there was two discrepancies. For one, it looks like it was the same woman in two different photos, and in one it was said it was a grandma, and one I think it was like an aunt or something. And then also there was the contention of, if you looked into the background of the supposed grandma, the name of her, she had died like something like 20 years prior to that photo that was taken. So like, what the fuck happened there? Was that like an oopsie? How do you make that oopsie in your biographical book? Like, that grandma's been actually dead for a while, that wasn't grandma, that was somebody else. Like, what is going on there? Also, if you look into it, it's like, it looks like, someone's bringing up that there were slavers. They said the black side is slavers, but the problem is they don't even really know if the black side was slavers. The slavers were Irish slavers. So unless they were like, I know sometimes when it comes to slaves, they will take on the names of the people who had them before. But point being is, it looks like there's a strong chance that she's literally there. It looks to me almost as if she got some photos. It looks like they got photos of her with like the help or something, and then ironically her family is literally like Irish slavers with some other Indian mixed in there, and then they're just playing off the black thing. Now, could be wrong. Could be totally, literally a black family. But it's like there's nothing to support this. I don't know if it's for me or if it's for Austin. Either way, appreciate it. Fire Pixie, newest Patreon member. Either way, hilarious. Just because it's like...
That is so funny.
I don't know. It's just like... I don't know. Maybe she is black. Maybe I don't even care. It is just the ridiculous nature of... Is this really... How many political entities are there out there that they're just... contriving backstories and taking photos with people or messing with genealogy, stuff to just be like, oh, this or that, and then still fucking up minor details.
No, I honestly, man, like I just saw to what Tim Tuttle just said in the chat there about his rabbit hole of zero transcript.
Yeah, it looks like she's never taken. It looks like I've seen other people post about this. It doesn't look like she's taken anything to trial. So it's like, what has she been doing other than maybe you could say she's pushed paper around, if anything. If not, she literally could have just been someone they had on the books somewhere and did nothing and was just a political entity waiting in the wings. I don't know what she was, I mean, I know we've talked about this in the show before. I believe with Brad Brinkley, we went to the background of kind of like Black Illuminati type stuff. So like, how deep does this rabbit hole go? I don't fucking know. It looks like her fucking background may be contrived, and even her career, to some extent, or at the very least, embellished to an extreme degree. So I don't fucking know, So
no, it's amazing. I'm very much under the impression that yes, truth is far stranger than fiction, and we need to realize that we have to remain skeptical, and we cannot trust our eyes.
Yeah. Real quick, someone said the photo, dad, light-skinned, black Jamaican. I want to point out, if I recall from those photos, I want to say they were like black and white, if I recall it correctly, the photos that showed her dad. Maybe there's other ones I'm not recalling. But so it's like, for one, you can't really tell too well. It could just be someone, but it's also like, I don't know. All right, cool. So you come from half Indian, and then maybe your dad has a little bit of black in there, but he comes from an Irish slaver family. Like, okay, so someone fucked the slaves. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, how did this get mixed in? Yeah, someone said yes, black and white. Because I remember seeing that photo and being like, it's not clear to me this person's black. And people say it's almost like a trick of the mind, because people go, oh, the dad's Jamaican, and then people just go, oh, okay. And you're like, but wait, what does that mean, Jamaican? That just means they live in Jamaica.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fake Masonic police that had the head of the organization die before his hearing associated with Harris is odd. That was when she was a DA. I almost
Yep.
said duh.
Yeah, it's yeah. And that's such an insane story. And then just recently, even she did that shout out at that public appearance, giving that speech to that huge crowd, and gave a shout out to her divine 9 brothers and sisters or whatever. And I just thought Brad's probably laughing his ass off because it's exactly what we talked about when he came on the show. And yeah, I see no way around any of these individuals who like, this is the reason that I don't trust people like Tucker Carlson, Russell Brand. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, these
Like,
cocksuckers are patients. Like I said, sitting in the
Yeah.
wing. Like whether I mean, I feel like there's probably some combination when it comes to the tactics of like they've got to be serving some sort of dual purpose. They can't literally always just be like I struggle to believe that fucking Harris was literally just chilling, like waiting, just fucking
no.
doing nothing. She had to have some role, doing something, but
Right.
what
Look what I
I don't
found.
know. But it looks like what do we got here?
I'll zoom in real fast before we get off
Okay,
the
yeah, we
subject.
got maternal line, Hamilton Brown, very white.
Very white, yeah.
Yeah. Wait, scroll back up. I want to see the top. So then maternal line, Samuel C. Harris. We don't have a photo of that person. Hamilton Brown's really white. Goes down to Christy Brown. That lady looks maybe a little dark. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to tell from
He had
that
to have
photo.
sex with one of his slaves.
Scroll down. Okay, then Joseph Alexander, dude's white as shit. Oscar Joseph Brown Harris, and then this is where the black thing becomes. Yeah, see, okay, the black thing, Beryl Finnegan. Now this is the grandma that
Finnegan.
supposedly
That's
was
Irish.
dead when like that woman right there. When that photo was taken, the supposed Beryl Finnegan was dead.
Wow.
Unless there was an other Beryl Finnegan that was born in that area around the same exact time. That's the only way that like that, or like, I mean, I guess to be fair, it's not like I verified all of this, but like, I mean, this would be an awful bold lie to be going around. So, I mean, I guess
just
to be
typed
fair, I'm
in
doing it right now if that's the
Kamala is
case.
Indian. I got
Yeah, so
this.
there you go. There's the black. There's the black. That just sounds funny by itself. But there's where we're saying the black comes from. There's Beryl Finnegan, which is dubious at best. And then, all right, Donald Harris. This comes down to the dad. All right, look at that dude. I'm not certain that's a black dude.
No.
I don't know what the fuck that is. That's racially ambiguous as fuck.
Oh, and by the way, if I suddenly cut out, it's
Oh,
because
that's all good. Yeah,
that hurricane's hitting here. So
Yeah, it'll hit me
Oh, word.
tomorrow. But
anyway.
yeah, and there's Shamalama Gropum Harris over there. So
My
and
God.
that's the Indian. So that's where we get the old brownie in there.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know. I mean, maybe she's black. I just seems to reach. Even if you are black, it's like okay, but I don't really feel like that's a yeah. Okay, sure, you have some African descent, but it's like, do you really at all in any real way identify with what it means to be black in the United States? Like it's just it's more of an identity thing, because it's like I've known black dudes who like don't identify with that. Like so like they would I don't know, they would act. I don't even know how to explain it. It doesn't. If she is black, it's like it's just literally just a genetic thing. Like I don't think this thing she portrays herself sometimes as code switching she doesn't feel authentic at all.
No.
Like it feels like very much like AOC type bullshit. Like, oh, let me tell you what we're gonna do.
100%. That's
We're
why when
gonna
she
go
goes,
to the Capitol.
exactly. That's why when she goes on like Mindy Kaling's show or whatever that girl's name is that played on in The Office, she all of a sudden is spotlighting how Indian she is, you know, and leaning into that narrative. So yeah, she's very much a corrupt politician who's just molded. She's an actor who's playing the role she's intended to play, and yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you have individuals who still subscribe to the current system and believe in this false paradigm, right, that we're intended to embrace, and they're going to buy in, because if they don't, right, then the alternative is too much for them to even imagine. So yeah, that's where you have the political propaganda taking root and actually affecting public discourse, and of course the culture war, which you see it so inflated during these election years. Like I just find it so hilarious when you witness such just extravagant overreactions and knee-jerk reactions to the news cycle each week, right? And yeah, I understand, like, desperately wanting a support system as far as like people that you can kind of just a like-minded community that you can rely on to some extent. Like, I understand being desperate for that, because who isn't?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very lonely being isolated with these ideas.
Oh,
But
by the
go ahead.
way, I do wanted to point out, I just saw on my email that it was Fire Pixie subscribed to me. I hope she subscribed to you as well.
Nice.
You should give Austin money,
Fire
but
Pixie's
you
been
should hop on
awesome.
the Fire Pixie. I've been seeing you for years in
Hmm.
chats. You should hop in to the go check out the fucking, well, fuck you, Doc. I'm just kidding, whatever. But yeah, I think you should hop into the go to Patreon, check out my latest post, and there will be a StreamYard link in there. And if you would so choose, you can hop in to talk to us. And if you're camera shy, you can just turn off your camera and just talk to us that way. So I'd like for you guys to hop in there. But no, the $2 tier does not suck, Doc Shelley. The $2 tier allows you to come in as a talking head alongside us and shoot the shit with us here in about like 10 minutes or so. So yeah. All right. What else do we got? We got a comical bullshit with Israel that's also evil. With it kind of like the like, you know, it reminds me of like Netanyahu with like the picture of the bomb, but this
Right.
time it's like a fucking, I don't know, a Lebanon normal house with a 3-car garage that has a cruise missile in it or some shit. Like,
Right. Oh man.
so yeah, that's
Erdogan.
that's where we're at. Go on.
I know that Erdogan, the prime minister of Turkey, he's getting some play right now because he compared Netanyahu to Hitler, basically, and saying that we need a coalition of of countries who are willing to come together to put a stop to this sort of thing. And yeah, I just see it's really just choosing sides in a conflict. It's very dangerous. That's all I'm saying. And Erdogan's clearly a monster. And so in any of these foreign leaders, any leader of any country, just be careful. Like, because you agree with something that they say, that not
Those
in any way.
cocksuckers have a history of getting their fucking way, so be
Yeah,
careful.
exactly, man.
Yeah.
Yep. And so
We
yeah, I
got-
have and Erdogan specifically. Oh yes.
Oh, this is a big old boom. Did you
Mhm.
look into this at all? I don't know
I
what
did.
the fuck this was. If this is a Moab, I don't think that's a nuke. That looks way too damn.
No.
No, it does not look big enough to be a nuke to me.
No, and even that, honestly, like, that's not even close to that. What was that? Where did that
I saw that going around Twitter.
Lebanon.
Supposedly
Where did that-
Lebanon, supposedly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember where. You remember when that footage went viral of that huge explosion that happened off the coast of shit. I'm trying to remember the name of the country, but it was like extraordinary. It almost like when I first saw it, I thought for a
I
moment
know
it
where you're
was a
talking
nuke.
about. Didn't
Yeah.
that one also end up being highly suspected to be Israel?
Yeah, and they tried to act like it was
Yeah.
an ammonium nitrate bomb.
Yeah,
like basically,
yes.
yeah,
Because that
yeah.
commonly comes up in OKC shit. You're like,
Yeah.
look at this. This is what however many thousands of pounds does.
Right.
We're supposed to expect that this does that. Like, because
Mhm.
there was like lots of photos people took of like the destruction of like this ammonium nitrate. I forget. I think a lot of people actually use it to support that. But it's like, okay, but you're talking about something that's like exponential magnitudes larger than what was in a fucking Ryder truck. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Not to say the Ryder truck didn't do the trick. I have no fucking idea. I do kind of lean towards that it didn't, and that General
Right.
Pardon may have been onto something, but I don't really know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at explosive fucking analysis. But that's just
I have no idea.
kind of where my tendencies lean towards. That
Exactly.
you motherfuckers put some charges on columns.
Mhm.
That's just
Yeah, the explanations of the support columns, that it always convinced me, that it just couldn't have been that the damage blowing out from the Ryder truck. But I don't know.
I mean, the
I've tried to
theory
never
that
be
I've
a-
heard, sorry,
Yeah.
the theory I've heard thrown around when it comes to the Murrah Federal Building is that what it did, supposedly, what I've heard is that the ammonium nitrate bomb, when it set off, the Ryder truck bomb, it, created the explosion towards the building, and then I guess this explains also the 2 tremors that were experienced by like the geographical fucking survey, whatever the fuck team, the ones that tracks like earthquakes and shit. They felt 2 tremors.
The seismic survey, whatever.
The theory is that it kind of almost lifted the building up and then like kind of settled back down. And so maybe that's where they get some of the blowing out, like the theory, supposedly. Right. Just saying, that's the official narrative. I don't buy it. I'm just saying, like, that is what the pointy heads try to get us to believe, is that, which ironically, I want to say those may have been the Israeli explosive experts they pulled in to be like, hey guys, let me tell you what really happened.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. That could be legit. I have no fucking idea. But yes, very much doubt indeed. But yeah, that's the theory, is that it literally shook the building up and then it kind of like boom, fell back on, and then that created some like additional tremors and some of the pushing out, and also why you get some of the what's the word I'm looking for, not like a good radial explosion, because the one thing people point to when you look at the Murrah Federal Building is one of the columns is like, I think it goes back further in one spot, or vice versa, I forget. I'm trying to think of it in my head. Point being is it like did not have it didn't have like a radial explosion. What's the word I'm looking for?
I know.
I'm looking for a certain word.
I just know. Yeah, there's all these different terms when it comes to the explosive experts that when I was doing my OKC
it wasn't consistent with a radial explosion. It looked like erratic in some spots. There's a certain word I'm looking for. I feel retarded, so it was not. Yeah, there we go. Uniform. It wasn't a uniform, kind of like, you know what I mean, like perfectly almost round. Not that it'd have to be perfect, but it's like, and you're like, what the fuck happened here? It's like, I think some of the charges didn't go off, dude.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah. There we go. Jane Graham and Ruth Schaub. Yeah, you are correct. There are FBI 302s for that, of them saying they saw a 3-man team rigging the columns. This is both of them in 2 separate things. So there you go. I mean, to be fair, they said it looked like people working in the parking garage, and looked like they were. I mean, obviously they didn't know they were explosives. They said like wires and like blocks, but like it sounded like someone not knowing what C4 is describing C4. So there you go. But yeah, sorry if I cut off your thoughts going on a fucking rant about
no,
I don't
man.
even know where you were, and now I'm talking about fucking explosive analysis for the thing.
It's all good, man. But Pistolero made a good point, though. And I think that they actually mentioned it was Beirut where that occurred, but which makes sense, especially in the context of Israel. But also, yeah, it was this fertilizer storage unit or something, and also I remember that man, it was really just when I saw the footage itself, right? Because there were like multiple angles of it. One was off coast, right? You remember that? And then the other was just like from the street level of it. And it really was like some of the most extraordinary footage that I've ever seen of an explosion taking place, you know, in active time. But anyway, yeah, I think that what I always liked about Pardon was just his view on the supplementary demolition charges, because that's what always convinced me with the Murrah building, especially when I covered it. Like, I know we can't really rely on the noble lie, you know what I mean, but still, I feel like there's some very valuable information that you can take and kind of like, further research on your own and come to a conclusion that you can rely on a little more, firmly and confidently. But yes, I think that we're only going to see more of these attacks, like in reference to Lebanon, right? With what happened,
like mass casualty events, like I've seen chatter about.
Oh God, dude, that was.
Have you seen that stuff going around? Yeah,
I saw that.
I don't know if maybe I probably should have shared that earlier, but I don't know if Jules can find that. But that has been making the rounds. I forget what officials were talking about.
I think I have it right here.
Oh, do you got? Okay, yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but I want to say there was even something weird where the Secret Service head honcho recently made some weird comment about like what to do if some sort of event happened and like
Yeah.
how they might have to dole out extra premium. Like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? How about you just like focus on not getting your dude killed? Like just like the
Exactly.
main presidential candidates, just focus on
Hmm.
that, and then we'll worry about some theoretical mass casualty event where you have to go get assigned to other fucking politicians or VIPs. Like let's focus
Exactly.
on not getting these motherfuckers killed because you're struggling
No
with that.
kidding, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this alert of U.S. lawmakers plan for possible mass casualty event, proposing a constitutional amendment to replace members quickly and change various lines of succession in a national crisis. And yeah, I mean the entities and entities who stage mass casualty events and false flags are now warning us of an impending right event that that we can pretty much just set an alarm for. I bet at this point, because really, by next Tuesday, I'm sure something extraordinary will have happened, even if it isn't this specific event that they're referencing. But if I don't know if it's anything that's going to actually shock us at this point, well, then maybe we should be, very worried. But because honestly, man, like with these just how ramped up the media cycle has been recently, these consecutive attacks on Trump allegedly. It's just like it's very strange that almost the external reaction that I'm witnessing, it seems to be almost prepping us for something just almost like this concept of like what we're prepared to go through and experience, just really on a foundational basic day-to-day level of how we engage in reality. And very much COVID clearly had sort of this, it reminds me of how you kind of love bomb cult members. It's like almost this this uh this technique of mind control that is so deeply embedded in the public consciousness. Like I feel like, you know, we're at a level of psychological conditioning that it's just it's almost something that I can't comprehend. Like honestly, man, like everyone acts as if they have original ideas and their own opinions. I don't see it, my friend.
No
I'm
such
like,
thing.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On to the program thinking, and also
Mhm.
just kind of reminded me of, something we had talked about before. And also, with these, this Routh guy. And
Yeah.
I swear you had said something, that there was something you had wanted to talk about at Oswald in relation to these.
Mm.
It was in relation to the, I don't know, maybe it was Routh or maybe it was the other shooter, or maybe I'm misremembering what you said. Because
Well, it's
I mean, obviously
very
there are
interesting.
parallels
Yeah.
to be had between
No,
Oswald
yeah.
and Routh at the very
Yep.
least. Like, but go on.
And we clearly
Oh,
even
sorry,
made
real quick.
yeah.
I do want to also let you guys know we are going to open up the phone lines 941-281-5857. Also, if you guys are a patron, hop into either me or Austin's latest post. There should be a StreamYard link for you to join if you would like to hop in and talk. Otherwise, we'll keep an eye out on the live chat. If you guys have any questions, statements, if you guys want to send this conversation one way or another, that's your way to do it. So hope to hear from you guys in one way, shape, or form. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I just think that there are so many different parallels with Ryan Routh, Crooks as well. It's like Crooks falls into the James Holmes category for me. It's like this psychiatrist, his parents, and he's just very much. I am very skeptical of both of these individuals and the narratives that have been trotted out by the as far as on both sides of the political spectrum, right? Because you see the different interpretations of the events that took place, right? You see the different details that they'll either kind of leave out very conveniently, or they'll spotlight right, the strategic details that only sort of benefit them and their own cause politically, and that's typical. I mean, that's of course how they, you know, behave and interact with the public often. But what I think is crazy is that this guy, Ryan Routh, he's mentally disturbed 58-year-old, right? And I just see Stephen Paddock in my mind, right? Mentally disturbed 68-year-old Stephen Paddock, but this guy Ryan Routh, 74 prior arrests. We kind of mentioned that last week with Namrock, and we're intended to believe that he wasn't being heavily monitored by the authorities, although he was openly traveling to the front lines of a US proxy war, in Ukraine. And I mean, what I think is even more interesting is that this is like right after the war breaks out that he shows up in Kiev, and he's like sets up this recruiting area, like displaying the flags of all these different countries that support Ukraine. And he claims that he's recruiting for what was called the International Legion. All right. And he subsequently gives interviews to these prominent media organizations, and that even included the Times. I'm almost positive that he gave an interview to the New York Times, and he brags about what he essentially his ability to arrange travel for what he describes as veterans of the Afghan army who were abandoned by the United States, so he could bring them to Ukraine on illegal passports set up through Pakistan and other third-party countries. That is Ryan Routh. And so he was already flagged by a CIA officer, some woman who flagged him when he was in Ukraine, and other volunteers as well, apparently, as and so they flagged him as this dangerous individual to federal authorities. And
Nicholas Lee says, wasn't he connected with the Azov? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure in the interview he was literally, I believe he was like, I don't know if it was like on their, on their account. He was talking
He was
for them,
in
but
an
he was
Azov promo.
Yeah, he was an Azov promo. There you go. Yeah, so that's what it was. He's literally, fucking hanging with the Azov dogs.
And that's who he was trying to recruit for when in that video where he's on a college campus and he's recruiting that black kid that's like wearing a mask, and he's like, I don't do paper, bro. It's so fucking weird, but yeah.
By the way, we have someone in the background, and their name is Your Mom. They were there earlier, so I don't know if they're trying to come in, but it's saying your mic and your cam isn't hooked up. So I don't know if you need to figure that out or what. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying, maybe figure that out, and then you can hop in with us. I don't know what it is. I think if your camera doesn't work, you should be able. You give an option to just turn off your camera. So I don't know. You figure it out, dude. If I give the option to bring you on, I will bring you on. But back to the chat. I did see Pistolero said it's absolutely wild. The DOJ released a $150,000 reward note from Shooter 2. Is there any claimed legitimate reason they did that? I don't even recall what he's talking about. Do you know what he's talking about here? What am I missing something?
I saw a note from the shooter that he was saying that he failed at the assassination, and actually I have it pulled up in a second. I can actually read it real briefly because it's very strange. But just to finish that thought on this sort of kind of parallel to Oswald, but that's exactly where I was going with it, Pistolero, because I think the reward note from Ryan Routh it doesn't make much sense, honestly, in the context of the story and the official narrative, but yeah, it is wild as hell. But anyway, so what I think is most astonishing to me is that the CIA was already actively surveilling him. All right, we clearly know that he had been in 2 separate FBI bulletins that were circulating about him as early as 2019. Right, so that's what we can track, and And so
back when they were putting together Kamala's piece.
that's what I'm saying, man. It's crazy, but anyway, so this is the guy that we're supposed to believe is then allowed within 500 yards of Donald Trump, right? With an AK-47 style rifle, sniper scope, and he's like looking through a bush for over 12 hours, apparently, right? But here's the issue: is that he had somehow received a tip about this unscheduled last minute stop at the former president's personal golf course. So I mean, basically, he was clearly he was tipped off because this was unscheduled, and no one except for the people directly around Trump were aware of this. So it is it's very interesting that it even happened in the way that it did, and I think that in itself, you know, it raises red flags for me, and I'm very skeptical of that alone. But beyond the fact that it clearly seems as if the FBI was essentially grooming this man to some degree. Honestly, I don't know why else. Why would he not be a priority, subject when it comes to his affiliation with what was happening in Ukraine? Because I mean, what was circulating about him in the FBI bulletins was about some sort of, weapons charge. It had nothing to do with his time in Ukraine, and so the FBI they haven't discussed that at all. And that in itself is very, it's just unusual.
Do you got that note up or
oh yeah. Sorry, I literally
also
forgot
Shadows in the Cornfield said, I'm assuming these are different things. The note I remember seeing. I might have to get fucking Ken to come back in the show to recap some of the stuff that's happened with the Crook stuff since the last time me and him did an episode, and then also this stuff. Because it's hard to keep all this information straight, so it's good we have the Ken Silvas of the world to do that for us.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember seeing a fucking piece Ken wrote, said they had this right here, that there was like a box someone had, and that I guess they received some sort of box and they didn't even bother opening it until after the attempt. So I guess that has a manifesto and ammo. Although, to be fair, right now in front of my house, I don't fucking know why. One of my kids pointed out as we came back, like, in the spot where I put my trash, I don't know if it's my neighbor or what, but there's a perfect little, like, toolbox looking thing. It's like, old as shit. That's just sitting in front of my house. So it's like, I was looking at it, I'm like, that looks like the perfect little place to put, like, a fucking roadside bomb or something. Like, what the fuck is that? So I'm like, I'm not fucking with that. Hopefully the neighbor will get that. But I don't know. Maybe in a few days from now, I'll be like, that's some fucking, who knows? Maybe it's some weird shit like that. I doubt it. But point being is, I guess weird shit does happen. But either way, odd. And I don't know.
Very odd.
I mean, even the thing in front of my house is odd. So like, what the fuck is this doing here? Because not something my neighbor would normally have just laying around. So bizarre. But whatever.
But this Ryan Routh letter, though, this note that was left in that box, apparently months prior to the assassination attempt, and this is in the Independent, he left behind a note in a box left outside the home of an unidentified individual detailing his plans. And so the note revealed in a detonation proffer filed Monday morning by prosecutors read, "Dear world, this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I am so sorry I failed you." The message continued, seeming to predict that he would be unsuccessful in his efforts. "I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. It is up to you to finish the job now, and I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job." So,
and where was this note found in?
It says outside the home of an unidentified individual.
Okay, all right, because I'm like, I didn't know if you were saying that was the box, because Ken's saying it was sitting for a month, and I'm like, this puts some weird shit in the timeline. So it sounds like this note was written after a failure, or in the case of a failure.
It's months prior to the assassination attempt, and he left this this
Do
note
you
in a
have
box.
do you have it to where you can share it on screen so we can both look at it? Or I mean, I
No,
don't know
but
if
I
it's
can
got a
send. I'll
picture.
send it right now to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let
Is
me
it
see.
is a photo like an actual photo of the thing, like of his writing, or is it just like someone
Yeah, it's a
transcribing it?
photo. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's hold on, let me oh, whoops, I clicked in the photo.
Huh. Weird.
Hold on. I'm gonna have to send it to here, I'll just copy and put it in the private chat.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to bring that up when you see it, Jules. But yeah,
There you
that's
go, brother.
weird. I mean, bizarre
It's
to say the
there's a
least.
picture, there's a photo of the letter, and it's about halfway down in the article.
I got you.
Not quite halfway down. But yeah, so once he pulls it up, we'll finish reading it because it's very interesting. And yeah, it pretty much just raises this sort of moral justification for why Trump is such, an evil individual that has to be sort of extinguished because no one that is as dangerous as Trump yeah, should be allowed to
Jesus
be the
Christ.
sitting president.
Look at that goddamn physiognomy. All right,
Oh my
let's find that
God.
note, dude.
Yeah, it's like halfway down, man. Almost halfway down.
God.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there he is in front of the flags, man. Like it's very insane that once he fled the scene.
There we go.
There
You
it
can't
is.
really read it that well, can you?
Yeah, it's hard to read.
I
It
can
took
zoom
me
in.
just a second.
Dear world, this was an assassination attempt on Donald J. Trump. I don't know why I read J in there, but I am so sorry I failed you. And this was before, so it does seem like this was written in case he failed. And this this is so weird because, like you were saying that he almost got sound like he got tipped off, or you made it sound like just on a lark, like oh shit, now he's over there. Someone said in the chat that now I guess they're saying the official story. I haven't been following. Like, once again, maybe I do have to get Ken on here to get this stuff straightened out. So I don't know what the current story is, supposedly in regards to how he knew to go there. Because apparently that was like a random visit for Trump, and he'd only known maybe like a day or two ahead of time type deal. So the idea that he would do this a month prior. But anyways, yeah, and I will offer 150,000 to whoever can complete the job. Everyone across the globe, turn the youngest to the oldest. No, Trump, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? After that, it's kind of like whatever, bare minimum, blah, blah. This is just rah-rah, he's bad. That's not good. He should be nice. That is within all that is kind, caring, and he's not a nice guy. There you go. That's what that is. It's the first half that's actually important. The second half is just gobbledygook about like blue and on bullshit. Yeah, but
that's exactly what it is. It's
wild.
Crazy to me.
That's weird.
Yeah, and
because like, how the fuck are you, if you failed an assassination attempt? How the fuck are you going to pay someone $150,000 if they pull it off? Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
That's what I'm saying. And I found it interesting what his son said about I didn't read about this until just recently when his son Oren was also arrested. But there's another independent article that that discusses how as far as the reaction of the family to Ryan Routh's alleged assassination attempt, and he says that Routh's son Oren said his dad hates Trump as every reasonable person does, according to the Daily Mail. He added, "I don't like Trump either," says Oren. That said, Oren was shocked to learn that his father is a suspect in the attempted assassination of the former president. He said he has, quote, never known his dad to own a gun or do anything batshit like this, quote. That's crazy. I know my dad and love my dad, but that's nothing like him, he told the outlet. He's not a violent person, Oren added. He's a hard worker and a great dad. He's a great dude, a nice guy, and has worked his whole fucking life. That's the quote of Oren.
Yeah.
But allegedly,
Pistolero's saying it's a cheapo gun. I don't know if you want to post in the chat, and I'll bring it up. What kind of gun we're talking about here? I am assuming it was probably some sort of AR or something, from what I recall.
All
And then
I've
also,
seen
Shadows in the
describe that.
Cornfield says the NPR article admits the letter was months old and seems to predict the outcome. Now, I wouldn't say predict. I believe because
Yeah,
you could
failure.
construe that this was written in the case of failure, not that you were predicting failure, but just
That's
in
true.
case it happened. So bizarre though that you
Very.
knew months ahead of time that you were going to kill him, but I mean, I guess it could be someone who already had that intent, and then it just so happened to fall in their lap that, hey, this guy is going to the. But that's bizarre.
Call
Yeah,
if you want, Pistolero.
yeah,
That's
call in,
what
dude.
this portion's for, brother.
Dude, do it.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, the final part I think is just that Routh was like, you can find all these different tweets of him.
Real quick, Pistolero, if you do hop
Yeah.
in, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, you are a patron. So hop in that way. Hop in via, because if you hop in via call, then it'll only be able to be me and you talk. Austin will be able to hear you, but you won't be able to hear him. So if you just hop in even if you don't want to go on the video, you can just turn off your video, and we can bring you on as a talking head, even without a camera, if you want to go that way. So, but yeah, call in. Sorry, go on.
No, you're good. I just thought it was hilarious that, of course, like the vast majority of this guy's Twitter's just been memory hold at this point, and so it's all just been scrubbed essentially, and all we have are screenshots, right? And one of his tweets was democracy is on the ballot, right? So this guy, his messaging was so strange because like he wrote like nearly 300-page manifesto. And within the context of the manifesto, he's like, he blames Trump for January 6th, and he like but it's very interesting because the narrative is he's this disillusioned Trump supporter, like we mentioned last week, right? And he had voted for him initially in 2016, and then was completely disillusioned by the process and extremely upset, and therefore, found himself in an Azov video, for recruiting for, meeting with all these different mercenaries in Ukraine, and developing contacts, that he would clearly, which by the way, there's like, I believe some foreign publication has actually even listed the different contexts and different foreign contacts that he had. And it's a very strange list when you actually go through it, because it seems to be like this very strange wide range of sort of criminal mercenaries that are essentially just being used as I'm sure a lot of it has to do like with you're sort of a contracted mercenary contract killer, just sort of profiting off of the war-torn area, the conflict at hand, and this is more than likely very typical in the context of modern warfare, especially if you've read things like Blackwater, The Rise of the World's Mercenary Complex, and you understand the level of involvement of private mercenary outfits in foreign conflicts or any sort of government conflict, especially an armed conflict, and where you even have to such a degree of involvement to where Blackwater mercenaries are placed in charge in combat zones. They are telling, right, the actual military men of the United States infantry, they're giving them orders, right? Which I found that so amazing when I was doing research into the Iraq wars and the dirty wars and all these other things. Is you begin to find out that it's right, like it's always, there's always going to be this kind of community of individuals who are always going to try to leverage it to their own benefit, exploit any of these terrible conflicts, and for their own personal gain. And that's a tale as old as time, so
All right, Austin, we have a caller in here. We have old Pistolero.
I was doing my best to keep flowing.
You're good. Hey, Pistolero, you're here with us on already. Deb, what's up, my man? How you doing?
up, dog?
Hey, how's it going? What's up, Austin? I know he can't
buddy.
hear me, but I thought
He
I'd
says
ask.
hi.
So the rifle that the shooter used, number 2, was an SKS, which is the rifle that the AK-47 replaced over in Russia. It's a completely different gun, but it's the same cartridge. I would sooner believe that the first shooter intentionally shot Trump's ear than that guy could have pulled off a 500-yard shot with what he had.
I love it.
It
was
pretty
500
bad.
yards? Okay, I didn't even know that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it was like 300
the
or
way
500.
the scope
yeah.
was mounted is the most jankety thing I've ever seen. Like, we haven't seen that since, like, hillbilly militia activity in the 90s.
Wow.
Okay.
Hilarious.
All right. Yeah. So, and I know it was like just set up there. So I guess the idea is like people think it's almost just like he, oh, here's a gun. Look, there was an attempt, and it wasn't really. It was almost like a fake attempt. You know what I mean? So, checks out. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I pointed out in chat, like, that gun. If you brought it to a gun show, I'd be shocked if you found an idiot that would give $250 for it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And to simultaneously have that as your game time firearm and offer a $150,000 reward, like, that's the most delusional thing this guy has like released in any of his Twitter posts or anything. Isn't nearly as crazy as that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Do you know the SKS? That probably, if it's like a prior, if it's kind of like what, I guess similar to an AK, fills the same role. I don't think AKs are easily broken down like ARs, and I doubt an SKS is. I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess I was just trying to think of like how he would hide this, be able to get through a fucking golf course with a fucking, a rifle on him. With an AR, it makes sense because you break it down. No? Okay.
Yeah, it's not a collapsible or like that AR. I don't even think this was the claimed like modus operandi of shooter one, but like you guys talked about a little bit, you can pretty quickly unpin an AR, which basically makes it half as long. And like I've had an AR in my backpack before. You can do it. An AK, you can't really do that, but they make side folders and stuff, so the stock at least folds out of the way. An SKS, there's really nothing like that. It's a full-length rifle, no matter how you slice it. He was allowed to get where he was at.
Right, so he got like a piece of shit rifle. I mean, I'm assuming if it's a precursor to the AR, or not the AR, the AK, it's probably more known for its durability than anything. I'm assuming it's the type of gun you can probably just feed ammo through all day, but it's not really all that. I mean, it's reliable, but it's probably maybe not the greatest aside from that. So kind of like a beater weapon. That would be my guess. Huh?
It's not even the rifle's fault here, because as far as accuracy goes, inherently you're probably going to get better accuracy out of an SKS than an AK-47.
Mm-hmm.
They're firing the same round. You've got a couple more inches of barrel in an SKS, which is going to help you. But it's the way he attached his scope. It's a rifle never designed to have an optic mounted to it, and there's an optic mounted to it, which kind of tries to center itself on the semi-round top cover, and there is no way that scope is going to retain zero with that rifle.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can think of that would make sense is because this guy came from Hawaii. I don't know what his timeline was for getting down here. The only thing that makes sense to me is that he had just got the first thing he could get on arms list, and maybe he's just not like, because this is in Florida. So anyone who's not like, private sales are completely legal in Florida. I can hop on arms list, which is basically like a Craigslist, and look for whatever fucking gun happens to be available that some bubba is fucking offering, and I can go get. That's how I've gotten all my guns, to be honest. I've just got.
Yeah, same here.
I don't
it's
like.
Pretty fun.
Yeah, I know. And for one, it just feels nice, feels free, just feels like this is right. I give guy money. He goes. I go, do you? He doesn't say anything about fucking my papers or anything, and he goes, "Here's your fucking gun," and I go, "Cool, nice doing business with you." That's what you can do in Florida, because I know it's beautiful, and it's a lot of states like that. A lot of people don't realize it. They always have this idea of like, oh, I got to go to the gun store. No, you don't. You can just fucking hop online and go get it. But my point being is that he probably maybe just picked up whatever he could grab. Since
you said he was in Hawaii.
He lived in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But this is...
Oh, yeah. Hawaii is one of the worst states for for any aspect of firearms at all. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
man.
in Hawaii. So maybe the only thing I think is he's not really that keen on guns, and then he just fucking came down to Florida, and hopped on arms list, grabbed a fucking whatever the fuck, and I'm pretty sure if I recall, I feel like every time I've looked at arms list, there's like 1 million SKSs, so it makes sense to me that would be it's pretty cheap, and fucking nabs it, and that's what he does it, and I mean, it sounds like he didn't know the fuck he was doing. If we're to assume this is all in the up and up.
Shot that gun.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Right.
It also had these. So the standard SKS also never had detachable box magazines. You had to load it. It held. I've owned an SKS. I sold it because they about doubled in price when COVID hit. Hey, you know me, hand wringing and all. And but they take stripper clips, just like any 5-shot bolt action from World War I or II. They take those same stripper clips. It has a non-detachable box magazine, but what you see in that picture is these became pretty prevalent in the 90s. Before, this was assault weapon ban era, really wild time in firearms industry. But these magazines that you could remove your floor plate, and I think you had to notch some of your stock, but he hasn't even running a factory stock anyways. But you could have I think that is a 30-round detachable box magazine. They weren't known for being horribly reliable. I'd be pretty surprised if he ever even shot that gun.
Oh yeah, you agree. Yeah. My theory is that he legit just fucking yanked it off arms list, because of the simple idea that he had to go from fucking, I mean, I don't know when he got to Florida, but he had to get a gun somehow, or at the very least that will be the official narrative if it comes out, because I mean, let's be real. I wouldn't be surprised if some fucking glowy handed it to him. Although I feel like if a glowy handed to him, they might give him a less bullshit gun. This seems like a gun you just grabbed kind of like a, after the fact, you already just like, oh, we're doing a fucking either real assassination or fake assassination. Got to get a gun, whatever. And it's kind of like an afterthought. Here's the gun. All right, let's go. That's kind of how I see it. But yeah. I don't know if you have anything else, Pistolero. I appreciate your expertise when it comes to weaponry. That helps out here. I'm pretty sure I know what an SKS is, so I just couldn't remember.
I appreciate the show, guys.
I appreciate it, bud.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, definitely call in again sometime. You have anything else to say while you're here? Any other thoughts?
Nope. Have a good night. Thank you, Austin.
Appreciate you, brother.
See you, bud. Bye.
Bye.
Cool.
Man,
all right. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
No, I feel like that logic tracks. There's no doubt in my mind. Especially when this man, when he leaves, he's leaving behind all. Why would it be perfectly staged, right, for discovery? And then the his escape, of course, gets photographed, and that's how he's initially circulated, right, allegedly. But to me it sounds very much like oh well, Tim McVeigh just so happened to be on the road at this time, you know what I mean? It's very much just it's so similar to me, and I just can't see, man, especially with Oren's account of it all. They weren't even talking, allegedly, like his son, and they weren't even communicating at the time. He had no idea why his father, he didn't even know that he was in Florida, right? So I don't know, but he leaves all these different items at the fence of the golf club, along with the AK-47 in the scope, or the SKS in the scope. But I think it's hilarious that it's not really been in all the media accounts. It's basically just described as an AK-47 styled rifle with a scope. But I'm like, the impression was that it was staged for the actual shooting with the ceramic tile inside the backpack, right? And he apparently was even going to film it with the GoPro. Shadows in the Cornfield points out Mark Chapman lived in Hawaii.
I guess
there's more to that.
I guess that's not too much of a coincidence, but I just thought it was funny. Yeah,
and
it's very weak,
much,
very weak connection, but still.
and very
All
much
right.
speculation. But holy shit, there's a fun connection there.
Yeah, I mean the
At the very
connections,
least.
taking trips around the world for the assassination, staying in all the most expensive cities
What
in
I'm
the world.
saying.
I
That's
mean,
what
this
I'm saying.
motherfucker's jet setting,
Okay.
fucking Ukraine,
Exactly.
fucking
How is he going?
How is he living in Hawaii? Period. He
Right.
supposedly is making like $3,000
But
a month or
struggling.
some shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Struggling
Which is like
financially.
that won't cover
Traveling.
you like half a month in Hawaii for the shittiest place.
That's what I'm
So,
saying, man.
yeah.
So that thread that William Ramsey posted that I mentioned last week, which by the way, shout out to William Ramsey. He's coming on next week. And also I'm going back on the 4th to talk Operation Mockingbird, I guess. So
Oh hell yeah.
yeah, I know. I was very excited that he hit me up again. But anyway, so which by the way, I'm very much under the impression Operation Mockingbird was institutionalized, and clearly we are still very much enduring the consequences of that, right? But so that, yes, one of the things that I think has been, widely unacknowledged as far as its current.
Whoa, real quick. Sorry,
Yeah.
didn't
No,
mean to
go
cut you
ahead,
off.
man.
I heard his wife was a former Victoria's Secret exec. Whose wife?
No,
I need you
get
to
out
tell
of
me who. There's no
Ryan
fucking.
Routh?
If you're talking about Routh, that is nuts. Especially
nuts.
if you know the
Oh god,
Victoria's
the
Secret,
Epstein
like
connections?
that's like quick as fuck in Epstein. Like
Fucking A.
Epstein had like what
Hey.
fucking like essentially. I don't know if it was actually power of attorney, but it was essentially by default power of attorney over what's his
Wexner.
name, the Wexler,
Wexner.
yeah, or Wexler or whatever,
Yeah.
who was the
Les
the Victoria's
Wexner, I
Secret dude,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was literally using Victoria's Secret as a methodology to get fucking
He's recruiting
whole,
young
you know?
girls. Yeah, Ghislaine was
Yeah.
was recruiting young girls that were
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret models. They
would use it for
recruit
clout
them-
for the bitches. Be like,
They would
I work for
recruit
Victoria's
them.
Secret. Yeah.
Yes, by saying they're recruiting for Victoria's Secret.
They had to literally tell him to stop. Like he
insane,
literally had
right?
assistants coming to him like multiple times. I think he brushed them off multiple times. I think eventually they stopped, but like because they're like, yeah, this can't be doing this. This is incredibly inappropriate. Like, and so they
Exactly.
finally. But yeah, he was using that card for a long time, playing the model route.
It's amazing.
Nuts. Yeah.
Brother,
Sorry, go on.
I think there's so much as far as well, let me finish this point because I think that we could end with Diddy probably. It's up to you though. But there's just so much that's been happening. I think that that Diddy is very much implicated with Epstein in many different ways, right? And I think that that kind of comes to the forefront, especially with the
Sorry,
Clinton
I'm still
Global
spiraling on
Initiative.
Ralph.
No,
Still
you go
spiraling
ahead,
on
dude.
Ralph,
Go
weapons
ahead.
and packs
All
on the fence reminds me of when Oswald said, "Mission accomplished. Now it's time for a movie," and didn't even leave town.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. If I can, he went to the movie after. So it's like,
Mhm.
what the fuck?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
all right.
literally what Oswald did, everyone.
Oh,
He
by the way,
went
we
to
have
a fucking movie.
we have
You remember that,
we
right?
have Jolly on Klebold with us right now. What's up, my
Awesome,
friend?
dude.
Hop in whenever you can. I don't know if you have your shit set up right now. It shows you're muted right now. So
Yeah, what's up?
oh, there you go. What's up, dude?
I don't know if y'all could. I had my mic muted.
No,
I was
you're
waiting
good.
a
You're good.
second.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
Yeah, I'm making a cup of coffee, but as far as all this roof stuff, it seems more interesting than like stuff we have on camera, which is kind of weird with crooks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're
Agreed.
interesting in different ways, I think. Like, it's like, if anything, this is obviously the unseen, whereas the crook stuff is the seen, because you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you're literally able
Yeah.
to look at this. Whereas this is stuff like, yeah, this guy Mo is saying Routh's wife and then he said that's what he told his neighbor, is according to this Draco guy. That's
amazing.
why he was in Europe all the time.
Get the fuck out
What
of here,
the
dude.
fuck?
No, no.
What the
No way.
fuck?
No way, dude.
Dude.
Yeah, that's blowing my mind a little bit. But you know what I think is the most amazing about all of this is that my initial reaction I saw to just this second assassination attempt was very much the opposite of the vast majority of people who seem to confirm the notion of a prior assassination attempt. And for me, it very much did the opposite. I felt like it confirmed the false narrative. That's only, my personal opinion and interpretation of events, because I have yet to be convinced that Crooks was right a naturally occurring reaction to the media cycle and all these other narratives that are at play for motives for that original and initial assassination attempt. So for me, that alone, in very many ways, and I'm not I'm not the person, of course. I think it's very important to never be certain of anything. At least you should have a few fundamental principles morally, ethically, that you've outlined for yourself to kind of approach life in your own personal paradigm. But like I said, I'm never going to be I'm always going to remain open-minded to new information and willing to change my opinion. But when you have, we mentioned how tangential it and speculative that connection to Hawaii and Mark David Chapman is. But within that thread that William Ramsey posted, of course, Camp Box Honolulu was the company that Ryan Routh owned. And
yep.
Now
it seems
go ahead. Go ahead.
It seems in a lot of ways with the first assassination attempt, how me and Jose talked about it on the episode we did about the kind of the ear stuff and how it seemed fake. It also seems it's turning it on its head with this attempt. Like they just find a rifle. They never found the dude. The dude was like way away from the scene. Like they seem like they're kind of paralleling each other in a lot of weird ways as well.
Yeah. Real quick, you actually shared this to me, Tim. You said he got an award for chasing down and catching a rapist in 1991. Now, I do want to clear it up. Tim sent me this before we started the show. This article from like 1991.
And apparently he beat his ass too, which is kind of embarrassing.
Wait. The rapist beat his ass?
Yeah, the rapist he didn't stop the dude. He's like,
that's what it. Yeah, he didn't stop him. He got apparently it sounds like the way the article describes it, he got struck, hit at least once, and the guy got away. But I guess somehow maybe slowed him down, helped the cops get him, or I don't know. But yeah, it is funny. He did get decked. I don't know how bad it was, but he did get hit. Yeah, but, I don't really know if there's anything. A Trump
shooter, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything significant with that. I mean, that's just weird. I mean, I'm definitely very much reeling about the fact that his wife, whether that's true or not, I need to find out about that, because that is wild. If his wife was some Victoria's Secret exec and he's jet setting all over the world for her highfalutin fucking Victoria's Secret shit.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not. That blows my mind. But I don't know, man. Honestly, why would we really be shocked?
Sorry, let me cut you off. I forgot to bring up the serial number thing on it. I've had multiple people bring this, say stuff about this, or I've seen people bring it up. You just have to do it yourself. Just get a Dremel tool. You're not gonna it's not really some crazy high tech shit to take off a serial number. You just fucking get some sort of machine that's gonna drill into fucking metal, and there you go. Like a Dremel tool. It's just exactly what you'd probably use. So it's not that crazy. He went on Arms List and bought a fucking Dremel from Home Depot for $50 to $100, and fucking there you go.
It really reminds me of James Earl Ray, the alleged assassin of MLK, because it's the exact same way they discovered his rifle. It's just sitting at the base of the stairwell in this storage area. It's just the same as Oswald. The narrative is nearly identical, and then you add in that additional point of him going to the theater afterward. That
and then where he shot Jade, isn't he where he shot Officer Tippett too? Is where
exactly, man. It was on the way to the theater allegedly, but it's not him who shot Tippett. Clearly, in my mind, but still, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, that's why when I did that Who Really Was Lee Harvey Oswald episode, what reminded me so much of just kind of the current parallels of these, how we discover these ridiculous, fictional narratives, really far stranger than fiction, like we mentioned before, where there's actually a fictional Oswald story, right, that appeared after the fact that for me almost led me down the path of believing that this individual who wrote this story was actually the one who was in Mexico City, who was attempting to be the second Oswald, right? Who was also spotted in Mexico City, but in reality, I think it was actually this. What I found out, this guy who's named Thornley, all right, he's Kerry Thornley, and he founded a religion. This guy called Discordianism. All right, he's a co-founder of this religion, and he was stationed in California, and met Lee Harvey Oswald. And so Thornley, fellow Marine, also authored the only book written about Oswald before the assassination, and it was called The Idle Warriors, and was apparently a work of fiction written in 1962. The plotline was about a disgruntled Marine who defects to the Soviet Union. After the assassination, Thornley was asked to testify before the Warren Commission for much more than this oddly incriminating work of fiction. And John Simpkin wrote an article about all of this. And basically, this book was based on Thornley's knowledge of Oswald. And the following year, Thornley moved to New Orleans, where it was claimed he associated with Guy Bannister, David Ferry, and Clay Shaw. And
wait, all right, I'm gonna need you to repeat that, because I was literally just zoned out just thinking about the book thing, because like I immediately was like, yo, what was it, Last Jihad or some bullshit, fucking OKC, Frank Keating's brother, like a year prior, like, dude, what the fuck?
Chime in, this was making me think. It does mirror. This will be the last thing I say, since somebody clearly wants to jump in here.
You're good.
There was an Air Force base.
No, real quick, there's nobody else in there. You're seeing great.
Bro. I said engage. I don't want to be rude. I said in case somebody else wants to
get in here. Okay. I thought you said somebody else. Yeah, I thought you saw a great pill down there, and that's that's the producer. You were good.
Yeah, that's young Jamie.
Yeah, that's young Jamie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, there was I found it on a Program to Kill, like back in the 50s. Apparently, Oswald and Barry Seal went to the same Air Force base that was associated with David Ferry or whatever.
Cap, son.
Yeah.
And that made me think of the Last Jihad too, the governor to Oklahoma City and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's making me think of some connections like that shit. Like they all know each other. They always do.
Exactly.
Weird. Yeah, and Keating with the OKC, Keating was like very involved in the at least in the higher levels. I mean, I say very involved. He was likely very involved based on where his position was and the things that were being.
He used the name McVeigh or something. I mean, like fuck off. Like he clearly had some inside information.
Wasn't like Tom McVeigh or something weird. It was like spelled different, or it's like, come on, dude, fuck you.
Right? Yeah, you gotta be kidding.
Somebody told you something. There's like McVeigh's not that common.
Yeah,
that's so much in the vein of the album covers and everything in regard to 9/11 and the imagery and symbolism, sort of predicting 9/11. It seems like many of these events that correspond with kind of that additional layer that I mentioned earlier in the episode, which tends to kind of fall in line with some sort of like ritualistic playbook, right? And so for me, I just can't help but see that and recognize that pattern. You know, it's just so difficult not to. And so how can you contend with the fact that Kerry Thornley, who wrote this book, The Idle Warriors, okay, who moves the following year to New Orleans, is associating with the same individuals working out of Guy Bannister's office, hanging out with David Ferry and Clay Shaw. And then also Oswald, of course, living in the city at the time. But Thornley, of course, insisted that the two men never met during this period, but they were also both in Mexico City in September 1963. It just so happens. How is Kerry Thornley not the individual who was acting as the doppelganger of Lee Harvey Oswald in Mexico City? Because Oswald, like I said, living there at the time, September 1963 in Mexico City. Jim Garrison later claims that Kerry Thornley, and Lee Harvey Oswald were involved together in covert CIA operations, and he also argues the fact that Thornley had impersonated Oswald between the years 1961 and 1963. And in his book, On the Trail of the Assassins, Garrison insists that Thornley was friends with another possible conspirator, Johnny Roselli. And in 1992, Thornley appeared on a television program called The Current Affair, and he confesses that he had been part of a conspiracy to assassinate John F. Kennedy. But he refused to give any of the names of his fellow conspirators or co-conspirators. And a book was then written by Kerry Wendell Thornley, was allegedly a co-author of it, but he died before it happened in 98. And they were working on this book with Sandra London, and it was called Confession to Conspiracy to Assassinate JFK. So, truth is far stranger than fiction, my brother.
Nicholas, as our homie Nicholas Lee says, most of these events are done by occultist weirdos. What's more occult than having planted mystical and mysterious lore to accompany your newest psyop? Yeah, it's bizarre. It makes you feel like you're losing your mind when you learn about this shit.
It's social engineering too. Yeah. Man.
I think we wanted to, by the way, Mo, you were bringing up the thing about the child porn with Oren. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning. Oren Routh, the son. Yeah, we made the parallels between that and then the Vegas shooter who himself and his brother got, supposedly had it. So, his brother who had made some, comments, but yeah, I think I stepped on your what's the word I'm looking for when you change from one step, your segue. Your segue. I could think of the fucking word. I'm struggling with words today. I think I stepped in your segue into the Diddy stuff recently, but we did want to touch on the Diddy. I don't know if Tim, if you want to, have any thoughts.
Talk to Tim while I take a piss real quick.
Okay, yeah.
I'll be right back.
I don't have anything on Diddy.
Sorry,
I don't have anything on Diddy, so I guess this can be one of the last things I say before I dip out is concerning Oswald in Mexico. I think there's he said at the Cuban embassy they tried to tie it to him that he was going to kill Kennedy. I think they denied his visa, or that's why Cuba wouldn't accept him, or some shit like that. That's in Peter Dale Scott book.
Okay. So like they kept him in Mexico City, kind of deal.
He tried to get accepted to Cuba as far as the Cuban embassy, and we know based off of.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What's his name? Oliver Stone or whatever.
Yeah.
He did that.
He
did the movie.
He tried to repatriate, I believe, to Russia. It seemed like he was semi-successful, although they stopped him. He didn't go quite full way. And then I know later, I believe he tried to do the Cuba route, and they were like, like he did,
it never made sense why this retard could get into the Soviet Union and then back into America, and everybody's like, oh, it's weird. This guy also killed Kennedy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm looking back through the chat. You sent me that. What are your thoughts about the thing with him with the rapist? Do you think that was do you think there's any significance to that, or just a funny little story that was thrown in there? I mean, someone in the chat was saying it was almost like hero complex stuff. They were trying to fluff him up. My feeling is that was just happenstance that happened to. I mean, not everything's fucking schizo shit. You know what I mean?
What was it?
How dare you?
I missed it. What was the deal?
No. The Routh in the 1991 rapist fucking fluff piece.
That was probably just happenstance because from what the piece wrote out that he got his ass kicked and the guy got away. So I mean that was actually legitimately who he was in his life up until that point.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Well, all right, man. I guess I'll let you go. So you're not the way because we're gonna I think we're gonna wrap it up here soon. Anyways, maybe get some final thoughts on Diddy stuff. Appreciate you coming in, bud. Hop in any fucking time.
Tim.
For real.
Good to actually meet you, brother.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Yeah.
So
see you later, guys.
Later, brother.
Bye. By the way, he was on Tinfoil Hat not too long ago, so I'm not sure if that ever came out behind the paywall. But if not, give him money. But you can check that out. Yeah, on Diddy. I don't think there's anything really too new and substantive, but I just found it funny. This past week has been like all the rumor mills or chatter about this celebrity, that celebrity has been like, it's been pretty fun. It's been juicy.
It has been. It's
Like I've
been
seen
very
people,
fun.
I've seen people going like point out Machine Gun Kelly and all the weird shit he's fucking had to do, or
Right.
like all the weird shit, like all the different white. Oh, is this the fucking video of one of the hotel rooms? Or is this like the raid?
That's all the lube or what?
Dude, come on. What is this?
That's
Can
the
someone find
brother.
context?
Come on now.
Someone give me some more context here. What is this video?
We
I did
can't
not
hear
see
you,
this video.
Jules.
Oh, real quick. Let me do
He was
this.
talking
Boom.
to us.
There
But,
you go. Now you're in voice of God mode. There you go, bud.
Nice,
What's up?
nice.
Oh, nothing. I was just saying, yeah, I think that may be AI.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Dude,
that does
all I know,
look.
what, 784 dildos, right? Isn't that the
Bro,
number one?
is there a picture of the dildos?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this is
Police
AI. Yeah, that would make sense. I was like,
It
there's no
does.
way this is a video. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, that kind of looks like it. But
You tricked me.
how dare you, Jules? But so what I think is the craziest thing about the reaction to Diddy right now is mainly you have these white parties that I was very aware of the freak off parties, but I hadn't quite like really looked into these white parties and some of the individuals who were associated with them, and then
They're mostly just funny because of the they remind me of that meme of like the gangbang chick with the girl on the couch and all the big black guys and the white tees. I mean,
Exactly.
that's what it looks like. I mean, 'cause let's be real. Most of the people at these parties are probably well over 50% of them are black. So it is like a
Right.
bunch of black dudes in white tees, like that
Exactly.
are like kind of younger and kind of buffish.
And Leonardo
too.
DiCaprio for some
Yeah,
reason.
Leonardo DiCaprio. He's the
little
girl on the
white
couch.
dude to it, yeah.
He's the girl on the couch. Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. It
Yeah.
looked so hilarious to me. But also Ashton Kutcher, which makes a
Yep.
lot of sense, right? With the
Ashton
the
Kutcher,
Clinton
LeBron
Global
James.
Initiative,
Yep.
and his alleged, at least
his girlfriend
attempt.
that died.
Oh, dude, that's
Yeah.
what I recently got into, honestly, because I felt like it's kind of a smoking gun with Danny Masterson, and then one of the accusers of Danny Masterson, who's clearly been put away for aggressive rape, right?
Mhm.
And he's a psychopath, man. And what I find so disturbing is that Ashton Kutcher, of course, him and Mila Kunis, they both sent letters on behalf of Danny Masterson and his character, during his trial, and in an attempt to receive a lighter sentence, right? In reference to Danny Masterson and his rape charges. But it starts to make a lot of sense when you realize, what was actually going on here. And it makes you start to wonder, because I kind of I don't know. It's very possible that Brittany Murphy just like OD'd, but her death is very strange as well when you look into that. And but I mean, Diddy's father, just for a good example, he was a drug dealer who was a suspected informant and was murdered in 71, and Diddy wasn't born till he was born a couple years earlier in 69. But then what I think is crazy is, of course, everyone knows about his Clive Davis connections, right? Which Clive Davis is, of course, he's kind of been described as like a legendary producer, right? And figure in the music industry, who really discovered a shitload of prominent, musical acts, like even like Bruce Springsteen and Whitney Houston and stuff, right? But he has a very intense criminal history as well that I think goes very much right. Like it's been very underexposed because he seems to have like some organized crime connections, right? Deep organized crime connections, but also gets this pass when it comes to any sort of federal charges being brought against him, right? And so all of that kind of came to light because of this Pascal Falcone and the Genovese crime family and all of these different things. That they were basically, what was happening is that they uncovered a convenient arrangement between Clive
Can we get an
Davis.
early life check on this guy?
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Clive Davis.
Clive Davis?
I just looked him up, and I mean, I've heard of him before. You just look at the photo, and I go, yeah, early life check.
Right, that's all you got to see.
I immediately see spouse Janet Adelberg and Helen Cohen. So those were his 2 wives. So I mean, his name's Davis. So I've never. So I think he's just like a Irish dude or something. There's no way he changed his last name or anything like that.
Wow.
Dude,
Fire Pixie just said that they heard that he was having a giant Diddy party in the ballroom of a hotel while Whitney was dead in her room upstairs. Was that
Checks
Clive
out.
Davis or Diddy with
Davis,
Clive?
I think, because Clive
wouldn't-
Davis, it was
Shit,
rumored
bro.
that he set her up for sacrifice with her daughter. I remember when it happened, man. I was watching crazy like deep dive videos on YouTube about it, and yeah, some sketchy shit. He's
Dude, he found Janis Joplin as well, right? Bunch of different people who were very prominent
her
and
manager?
died. Yeah, he discovered her. Yeah,
holy shit! Imagine how many like souls he has under his
yeah,
belt.
she's Forever 27 Club. You know.
By the way, he is Jewish. I just found it.
No.
In case you guys were wondering. Oh shit! His parents were named Davis as well. So I have not heard Davis as a Jewish last name. So he tricked me. Yeah, I assumed he like changed.
I
His
wonder
name
if
or
they
some
were
shit.
already in the deception portion of there.
I think I found the dildos.
Get the fuck. Stop. Oh my god. That's so funny,
Sorry,
dude.
I had to.
No, you're good. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Davis had this arrangement with Falcone and was basically under Davis's supervision, he was setting up companies that would forge fake invoices for CBS while Clive Davis worked at CBS. And this defrauded CBS of $94,000 according to their records, and yet Clive Davis was never held accountable for these crimes. So it's that is just, again, it just fits perfectly. And so beyond that, man, I spent some time like going back through. Well, first, you remember the picture of Leonardo DiCaprio with the baby fetus? That it's basically called a pickled punk, and it could be
the fetus in a
I've
jar.
seen that.
Yeah, it's a fetus in formaldehyde in a
pickled
jar.
punk.
Yeah. And I mean, Dom Lucre, of all people, of course, has posted about this, right? And but many others, right?
Cheney
Of course.
Leonardo
posted a picture
DiCaprio, you
of
have been
Anthony
selected to
Bourdain.
be exposed.
Yeah, that was his post. Yeah.
Yeah, Cheney
Ridiculous.
posted a picture of Anthony Bourdain with the pickled punk.
Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Let me see if I can find that real fast.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, because I'm very, very like there's much more to the story of Anthony Bourdain's death in my mind. There's too much surrounding it for there not to be. But what's so nuts to me is that, of course, you have his exes like J-Lo and then you have like, but it was more than that. It was Regis Philbin. It was like so many people, prominent individuals were going to those white parties. And, Russell Simmons.
Regis Philbin was going to those?
Yes. Picture of him with everybody.
I bet you that guy fucks, yeah.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Exactly. Howard Stern. I mean, so many people. Tommy Lee, Martha Stewart. We know, of course, that Mariah Carey was there too. She's in a lot of pictures. And Ashton Kutcher, right? Who just so happened to host one of these events with Diddy. And it was all for some sort of charity, right? It was very weird. I think it was for malaria or something. I'm trying to find it really quickly because it's ridiculous. But
Found that picture.
But what?
Found the picture.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before.
That's
yeah,
it.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Dude, it's very weird. But if you look into,
that looks fake. That doesn't look real.
But that's actually the artist.
Guy he's with looks like a fucking warlock.
No,
So.
and that warlock that you just mentioned,
Okay, so it's an artist supposedly that did this. So it's not.
But it's actually allegedly a pickled punk, according to this artist.
But look at that. That does not look like that looks
I think the
it
lighting
looks like
does it
some
no
grotesque thing that someone did. It does look like an art project of something trying to make it look like a tortured fetus inside of a like that doesn't look like how I would expect a fetus to look after it's been waterlogged in formaldehyde for decades.
For sure.
Say what?
I mean,
I said the secret died with him.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of, fake pickled punks are made of rubber and basically or wax, right? And they're called bouncers because they tend to bounce on the ground if you throw them on the ground or drop them on the floor. And so you can kind of test it, but yeah, from everything that I read, it seems like this guy, this artist that Leonardo DiCaprio's allegedly in his private art museum when he took that picture. And his name's Joe Coleman. And I looked this guy up. I would like to do a deeper dive on who he potentially is, because I'm a little I'm very aware of Leo's connections to sort of the Club of Rome agenda and the Committee of 300 in many ways, right? But what I think is most disturbing is that you look this up, and Joe Coleman, he says that he bought this from a carny and he paid him whatever he asked for it, and he named this thing Junior. All right, and it's absolutely insane because it's clearly a deformed fetus preserved in formaldehyde, and what I think is so interesting is that these pickled punks are like more sought after if they have these like deformalities. It's very weird. Like if they have multiple heads, it's specifically sought after.
Oh, so this is a whole category of oddities that people
man.
try to buy. Okay, so I thought this was like a one that was getting passed around or something.
No, but this one is with Anthony Bourdain and Leo.
That Bourdain one,
have the same one.
I'm calling that one bullshit. Like maybe there are real ones, but that one looks like there was an artistic touch applied. That's what it looks like to me. Dude. But the first one I saw, the Leo one, looked not as good. I mean, maybe those were the same ones. I don't know if that's what you're trying to say.
The Leo one's
but that one looks
as far as just admitted to. I'm sorry. Yeah. I was just saying that it's been admitted to as far as Joe Coleman himself was personally, friends with Leonardo DiCaprio. They spent time at his private art museum, and so there's at least some sort of track record and of this, right? And also the fact that he's talked with many different publications about this specifically, and it's because it sort of went viral around the different allegations surrounding Leonardo DiCaprio whenever he was kind of it was really just kind of like within the element of, in the context of his underage or like young girlfriends that he always has, right? Which brought him a lot more into the forefront of like at least criticism, in many ways, right? So there was a lot more criticism being thrown around.
I do think there's something weird about a guy who's terminally with young women. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
What 25? I think, Jose.
It's very weird.
They're all under 25.
Yeah, that's weird. I'm sorry, because he's got to be in his 40s, weird. Maybe 50s now.
Late 40s.
Yeah,
50s.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, whatever. That's weird. Not legal. I mean, whatever. To each their own. But like, I couldn't imagine anything worse than trying to listen to a fucking 22-year-old bitch.
That's what I'm saying.
For fucking hours. Like, I'm sorry. I have kids, a real life. I don't fucking want to talk to you. You sound awful.
Right. Exactly. Man.
I don't know. Anytime I've ever hung out with like an 18 to 20, early 20s-year-old, I'm just like, I mean, it's almost like a head pat. Like, that's nice, kiddo. Mm-hmm. Like leave me the fuck alone.
Agreed, man.
Yeah, but all right, man. Yeah. We're at like 2 hours now, so I figured you'd probably get out of here, man. If that's what you want to do. I mean, if there's anything else you want to hit on, that's feel free. But I think we're about at that time. Save a little bit in the gas tank for William next week. I know there was stuff you want to talk about, but that might fit in our discussion for next.
Oh yeah, I have too much, probably, of course, as always, but it's mainly because I went back through the Diddy lawsuits. I hadn't read the Jane Doe lawsuit. I hadn't gone through all 5, right? Now, I had gone through, of course, the most prominent ones, which were the Cassie lawsuit and the Lil Rod Jones lawsuit, but which make significant allegations that are very worth your time. But going through the Jane Doe lawsuit, she was underage when she was gang raped by Diddy and other individuals that were named. And man, when I read through that, I was upset. I was disturbed, brother. It hit me like the X dossier. It really did. Like, man, I haven't been, only it has to be very detailed abuse to kind of like shake my foundation a little bit, as far as just like, oh my God, how much you realize these individuals are capable of, right? Exploiting the vulnerable. And yeah, reading through that lawsuit made me just a little more grateful that at least, I know that so much is going to be covered up, but at least he was arrested. Like to me, it just, there's some victory in that, right? And
I really do think a lot is going. I mean, obviously, like not everything's going to be revealed, but I think we're going to come back just in the same way with the Epstein thing. Like, we're in a different world post Epstein than we are pre Epstein. I genuinely think maybe it won't be, I don't think it'll be as paradigm shifting as Epstein, but maybe I'm wrong. But either way, I still think we're going to be in a different world post Diddy than we were post, in the same way we were pre Diddy, because like the pre Diddy scandal or whatever. I genuinely think that will be the case. I mean, hell, like a lot of people have made, I won't be the first one to point out that, hey, how bizarre it is that as soon as the world was clamoring hardcore for Epstein, that's when the COVID stuff rolled in. So who knows, like, yes, maybe something similar will happen in regards to Diddy. It is election year, shit is heating up, so it wouldn't be that crazy if, like, when it seems like all is about to be revealed, we get distracted by something greater. But either way, even with that, that the cloud of distraction that happened with Epstein, we're still in a different world, and still people's eyes were opened, and people look at the world a lot differently than they did before. And that's kind of like what matters. Like, yes, we won't have any justice in the sense of like something that happened in the past gets, addressed and tries to, reach some sort of level of recompense. But we may have a more bright future in that now the paradigm has shifted, the veil has been lifted, people are able to more clearly move forward and act accordingly. And these sorts of activities are less able to, be perpetrated in the way that they are. So, anyway.
No, I think you're 100% right, buddy. And I think that once you realize, like, there's a reason you should kill all your false idols, psychologically, clearly. But I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't idolize any of these celebrities, man. Like, what kind of makes that point better than a circumstance such as this? I mean, my God. And you see, like we mentioned, Ashton Kutcher. Yeah. Deep ties to a potential murder of a girl he was going on a date with in 2001. And I mean, he's involved as an advocate for sex trafficking prevention, giving speeches at the Clinton Global Initiative, which guess who says they co-founded that? Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, everybody. Right? So, like, read up on Laura Silsby. You know what I mean? And, like, read through the summary of events at the very least in some of these lawsuits. And it might be disturbing for a few minutes, but man, maybe it's just enough that that veil will fall, right? And it'll fall for good this time. And you'll remember, right? When the next scandal hits the mainstream media, right? Hits the headlines, and we're all intended to embrace the false narrative, you'll be skeptical. You'll remain skeptical, and you'll remember all the incredible details that seem to counteract, what we're intended to believe. So I just see it as, once again, thank God we're doing what we're doing. Thank God I met somebody like you, brother.
Oh,
thank God. I know, but I'm just saying, like, I feel that in my soul.
So
Like,
sweet.
thank God that we have people in this chat right now, that are willing to spend time in this like-minded environment and, spread some knowledge. I learned some things tonight just from the call-ins, like, man, it's so valuable to be open-minded and just like willing to listen, And then, anyway, I love you, brother.
Well, I love you too, man. Let people know. I mean, especially if we got any new people here today. Let people know where they can find you at. Especially, definitely. And even if you already know who Austin is, go subscribe to his channel. So we're trying to build that up. That way we can be monetized on YouTube.
Okay.
I am monetized on Rumble.
Thanks, brother.
So, but yeah, man. Let them know where they can find you at.
All right, man. Yeah, you guys just follow me at the Underclass Podcast. Check out whatever I'm doing, and if it resonates with you, please, if you can, support me. I'd appreciate that for sure. I couldn't tell you how much, but otherwise, just engage with the content and share it if you can. If you really like it and you think that, maybe it'll serve as some sort of starting point, worthwhile, then please do. But beyond that, follow me at Underclass Pod on Twitter, at the Underclass Podcast on Instagram. And yeah, I appreciate all of you.
Hell yeah, brother. For those who want to follow what I'm doing, I'm doing the No Way Jose podcast. You can find that on YouTube, all major odd podcatchers, Rumble as well. If you want to support me monetarily, you can do that at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Lowest level is $2. That gets you to where you can be the talking head on here along with us, or you can get the early episodes of the normal No Way Jose stuff. Also, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors. I read them off every episode. That's my highest level of Patreon. That's my co-host on Tower Gang, at Tower Gang Toad, at Abrogate D's, at ZOVERACK, at _Infinite Zeal, Jacob Daniel of the Biblical Anarchy podcast. Follow him at Biblical Anarchy. Then Tim Tuttle at Jolly on Klebold. Then Will Bell has this delicious blueberry wine called Rabbit Eye Wine. Highly recommend you go check that out. You can get it online. But yeah, I do also want to let you guys know tomorrow for Tower Gang we have Jeremy Kaufman on. For those who are of the Tower Gang persuasion, you like the naughty jokes, that sort of thing. There seems to be a lot of crossover between people who like the whole parapolitical world and this stuff. So if that's something you like, check it out. Jeremy Kaufman is a hoot. He's a fun guy, so it should be good. It's been a while since we've had a guest other than Raven, so it should be cool. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. If you want to be really extra cool, you can do some fucking Jolly on Klebold type shit where you make edits and stuff, or even if you just want to make a short clip and share it on social media or whatever, and be like, hey, they said this. I think this is really cool, or whatever you want to do. Share this shit around, chop it up, do whatever you want with it. Post it on your own YouTube channels. I don't give a fuck. Just move this shit around. And with that, guys, we are out of here. We'll see you next week.
Guys.
We have William Ramsey on next week. So show up again next Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, if you want to talk to old William Ramsey, that'd be your time to do it. Hop in on the call there at the end or in the live chat. Say hi. But we are out.